This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist Evan Thomason.
Welcome back to the First Alert Weather Breakdown on your Thursday. You'll see from me in just a moment, but hey, let us proclaim that the rain is back. Here's a current look at the First Alert Doppler radar where get storms mostly out of the ArkLaTex here for the moment, which is actually good because we got hammered by them this morning with some heavy rainfall in areas along and north of I-30. That's where the stray bits of rain are left currently. But you look out to our west, out towards Dallas, a little bit of the border between Texas and Oklahoma, we're expected to get plenty more storms here in the next little bit. So all eyes are going to be on that moving forward in the next day or two, and we're going to track it all for you now on the First Alert Weather Breakdown. Hey, I'm meteorologist Evan Thomason. Thanks again. Welcome on. I got my umbrella tie here for the day today on the First Alert Weather. Well, not just for the First Alert Weather Breakdown, but I guess for the whole shift today, so to speak. So again, we have storms back for some of you today, not for everybody. Storms are definitely. I wouldn't say definitely. I'm going to go with most likely storms will hit you by the end of this work week. If you don't get them today, your day to most likely get them will be tomorrow. That includes Shreveport as well. Again, we're going to go on that full future check here in just a little bit, but I counted it out before I went on the stream. It's been 25 days since we last had our last measurable rainfall around the ArkLaTex. I know a couple people are always, grossed out by the rain. It's yucky conditions. It's not amazing. It's not fantastic. Well, again, if you have a week without the rain, then it's a nice vacation away from it, 2 weeks, it's like, okay, we kind of need a little bit of a supply back of rain. It's been 2 weeks, but no, it's been, again, 3.5 weeks since we've last seen measurable rainfall to leave us in a little bit of a drought in some areas around the ArkLaTex. So bring on the rain, especially because, honestly, this is the fourth of, I wouldn't even go longer than that. It's been like 5 or 6 days of consecutive warm, muggy, cloudy conditions trapped in the ArkLaTex. We've had this air mass stuck in here since the weekend, just about. We taxed on the cloud cover more towards this past Monday and Tuesday, but, I mean, it's just been, I don't know what to think of it. It's not November is the point. It's been just an uncomfortable muggy feel, and we reached a high, I believe, of 87 degrees yesterday. And the point of me discussing kind of the changes and what's happened around the past is the only way we're going to break out and break free of that is to get some rain in here to cool us down. And we finally will lead into a tiny cooling trend moving on forward, moving along in time, which finally will happen. Actually, crazy. So let's get into what we're actually talking about here for the day today, and it's all about the storms. I just wanted to tailor today to storms being back around the ArkLaTex. We can look into the long range. Look into the long-term 12-day forecast as well to see how Thanksgiving will be. That's technically the day past the 7-day forecast, because the 7-day forecast goes today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it ends. It does not include Thursday. We'll have Thursdays on our 7-day forecast starting tomorrow. So we'll take a peek at that as well. But we're mainly looking at storms being back here for the next 2 days, the presence of them. Some of you are going to get more than others. That's for certain. But I still do think everybody has a pretty good chance at least getting some amount of rainfall within the next probably 24 hours. Let's keep it at that. All right, so let's get back to it here. Again, there's a live look at your First Alert Doppler radar as I pull up the rest of the graphics. As always, if you have a question on the stream, feel free to leave it on YouTube, because guess what? Sometimes I forget a graphic or two that would be great at explaining some things and putting some things together for you guys, essentially. All right, so essentially, for the what to wear graphic here for the day today, please don't forget the rain gear, all right? It's going to be needed, especially when you get into tomorrow and for other spots of the ArkLaTex for today and tonight. It's mostly going to be needed for those in the northern half of the ArkLaTex. I'm going to keep that simple here for now, but it's time for the rain gear. Think about it, get your mind on it, and get yourself weather aware here again over the next 2 days. These aren't first alert weather days by any means, which is good. We're keeping rainfall in. We're getting rainfall in here without getting any of the severe weather threats in here, so to speak. All right, so here's your live look at your Winter World Sky Cam into Texarkana. This is the spot that's been underneath all of the rain so far here for the day today. You obviously see the cloudy, gloomy skies there. We're getting a little bit of a break into Texarkana. It's just shown on that radar. Again, we're going to go over more thoroughly over the radar here in just a little moment. Meanwhile, into Shreveport and Bossier, more gloomy, cloudy skies, but that hasn't come into fruition for the rain, not only all day today, but all week long. It's been just consistently stuck on that with a few peaks of blue sky here and there, which, again, we'll probably have for the afternoon once more. But the point is, we have the presence of storms in the ArkLaTex. Now, before we talk about storms, let's talk about temperatures, because I always think that temperatures is the more simplistic thing to go over, period. Temperatures currently 81 in Shreveport, 79 in Texarkana, but you do see some cooler air trying to filter in. Only in Idabel and Nequid for now. Temperatures in the lower 70s up near there, but I think you get the point. It's slowly but surely going to make its way through the ArkLaTex. And to be fair, highs yesterday, again, in Shreveport, I believe we're at 87. We shouldn't be reaching that today. Highs should be in the upper 70s, lower 80s. So we should at least have a little bit of a cool-off as to what we had for high temperatures yesterday. And it's just going to be a slow but gradual cool-off. As for our mornings, I think we got one more warm morning intact here for you. Upper 60s, lower 70s. You've been waking up to that all work week long. Once you get into Thursday afternoon, it's pretty similar. Upper 70s, lower 80s again. We'll start to see the temperatures dip once the rain finally fully leaves into the weekend. Weekend's looking a lot better. I'll give you a hint as to that right now. But the morning temperatures for Saturday, down into the 50s. Getting our mornings a little bit cooler beginning this weekend, and those could look to be cooler into early next week too. As for those afternoon highs, into the weekend we go. I think highs are going to be only in the 70s starting Saturday. Again, maybe some lower 80s again here in store here for today and tomorrow, but you'll have 70s definitely for the weekend. And things look to cool off a good bit from there heading into next week. Some 60s maybe popping along eventually coming up. All right, so here is that weather maker that we are trapped with here right starting today and started, I should say, overnight leading into this morning. And now that's going to carry us on through tomorrow because it is a slow mover. Again, it is a slow mover. We have multiple spurts of storms coming at us essentially between now and tomorrow. They continue to come into the region. Some are going to be a little more heavier than others. Some are going to target mostly the northern half of the region. I really want to emphasize that first bullet point. There's going to be more storms targeting the northern half of the region. And I'm not just saying that because it already has happened, which, again, if you've been along or north of I-30, you've already had storms this morning in the early morning hours for several hours, getting a break now. But even then, I still believe with the next system coming up here, most likely for tonight, I believe more storms are going to target the northern half of the region again. I think we'll still have some in store for the rest of the region, but I'll get to that in just a little bit. I do want to emphasize again, the second bullet point, severe threat looks low, very low. There technically is the slimmest chance for a tornado, a little bit of flash flooding around. But I will say our ground is incredibly dry. It has room to soak up rain. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it hasn't rained for 3.5 weeks. So we have room to absorb some of the rainfall coming on down. And as just mentioned, we have a tiny cool down with it as well. Now, let's get into what is currently going on. Well, all of this morning, we've been dealing with a round of scattered storms, which right now has moved over into Arkansas. What we have currently in the region is just a little bit of light lingering rain, pretty much only in the northern edge of the ArkLaTex. That's mainly a northern end of McCartan County, a few cells over Wright City. This is all moving up north and east. You can see on the loop. They're all moving up north and east. Nothing is moving into other areas besides McCartan County. Nothing else is really expected to move into the ArkLaTex here for the short-term period. Now, for the long term, if you zoom on out, and I'm going to bring up the national radar here for you as well. This is everything around the ArkLaTex. So that was just a look at as to what our local Shreveport radar was seeing. The cluster of storms from this early morning has now moved over into western Tennessee and out towards eastern Arkansas and Missouri. The point is that's gone. That was round number one that hit us this morning. Here comes round number 2. It's moving right through Dallas and Fort Worth here at this rate, and it's also on the border between Texas and Oklahoma. And again, this is first going to hit the northern half of the region, the same area which got hit by storms again all morning long. So this is essentially like a break in between the 2 rounds before this entire system has to come on through eastward, and this is also pretty good in size as well in its own right. So we're going to be tracking onto that in our 2 future tracks, because guess what? We have 2 future tracks coming on up here for you after one more graphic. I want to show you a different look at this. This is a live look at the current satellite picture. It combines visible satellite coming off of the satellites in the space, essentially, and it also uses the colors are based on how tall is the actual cloud tops, how much moisture does it contain. And look at this. I like to compare this kind of a system to like a fire hydrant. This is kind of spawning most of the rain showers right into central Texas, and it has been pushing up consistently north and east. And for the moment, for the morning, it pushed across Texarkana and areas north of Texarkana. But the point is, this is fueling up more storms. You can see on the latest loop, and you can even see more storms in west central Texas too. All this has got to carry across the ArkLaTex. But the problem is going to be significantly weakening as it tries to move eastward. You will see that on both of these future tracks coming up now. So 10:30. Hi, that's the time right now. All right, so moving on through the afternoon, the next 2 to 3 hours, you could see consistent storms, but only in for that northwest corner of the ArkLaTex. It might be a rainy day today for McCurtain County, but McCurtain County only. You look at the rest of the ArkLaTex, we're actually having a pretty good substantial break here for a good chunk of the day, and for Texarkana. Meanwhile, Shreveport and the entire southern half of the ArkLaTex hasn't gotten a single drop yet. And they might not get a drop again for the rest of today. Maybe. Heading into tonight, still see storms, maybe a little more spread out in the spots of northeast Texas. And again, McCurtain County, once more, before you're watching out for that line of storms. Again, it's going to be incredibly slow moving at a snail's pace before finally looking to get into the western edge of the ArkLaTex here, west side of the ArkLaTex into East Texas here. But look at the time. 10 p.m., 11. So most of the second round of storms is going to be falling essentially when you're sleeping already, unless you don't have a, what's the word I'm looking for? Don't have much of a sleep schedule, like myself, I'd like to consider sometimes. But the point is, this is going to come through around 11 o'clock midnight around the central portion of the ArkLaTex. Notice how this moves back into Texarkana. But also, notice the southern edge of this line here. It's going to look to dry up and weaken almost to the point of where Shreveport barely gets anything out of this. Yeah, heading into the overnight hours, I do think Shreveport's going to get at least something. Maybe if it's a brief drizzle, if it's a light little rain shower along the I-20 corridor here for you in the overnight hours. And then heading into early morning of tomorrow, most of us are dry, actually. The only other thing I'm watching out for is that next little cluster of storms that's coming out of the southern end of Dallas. That could look to come back into the ArkLaTex, but the same thing happens to where most of that system dries out, but we could just have a few stray showers for around the middle of the day tomorrow. And that's really it. And then some of that continues into Natchitoches maybe tomorrow afternoon, and most of us completely dry here certainly by the time we get into the weekend, pending maybe, if you look at the very tail end of that system, Natchitoches, Hemphill, maybe getting a couple showers late Friday into Saturday, but that's only for you guys around Natchitoches and Hemphill before we completely dry out just in time for the weekend Saturday, and most of Sunday look good. So that's the system coming on through. Again, that's future track number 1. On days like today, I like to show you 2 different future tracks because this kind of shows you a different idea of what's another possible scenario, essentially. Again, both are kind of considering this break during the middle, where we could have, yes, another rainy day for McCurtain County in for just today and just for you guys while the rest of us stay dry in throughout the entirety of your Thursday. So once we get into Thursday night, here's a look at that line. It's just starting to come through the western side of the ArkLaTex, through northeast Texas first and areas of Texarkana late. Excuse me. But look at the time. That's still around 9 to 10 p.m. before this line comes on by And again, it still looks potent and strong as of 11 p.m. That could still be bringing some heavy rainfall in pockets of southwestern Arkansas, Texarkana, and most of eastern Texas. But the theme of what I've been trying to get at to you at in the past future track, and what this one tries to do as well, is that this line might get some heavy rain into Shreveport, but the line, you see, weakens. It almost like a shield right around northwest Louisiana. I think, again, pockets of Shreveport and Natchitoches still get rain from this, but it's still going to be incredibly spotty. That's the point of me showing you that. So that comes on through again during the overnight hours, and then tomorrow morning might have a few storms left over in for that southern portion of the ArkLaTex, but even that looks to be dry up, and most of the showers there look to be incredibly stray here for your Friday before we completely dry out the skies here in time for the weekend. So what things are we watching out for with this system, specifically with the round of storms tonight? I think it's the last little potent round of storms that we have left, because, again, most of tomorrow is just going to be, yes, there's a chance of storms, but it's incredibly stray, few and far between, to the point of where I think there's a few areas of the southern half of the ArkLaTex that do not see rain at all. I don't think Shreveport's going to be one of those areas, but I think Shreveport barely getting rainfall from this system at all. But here's the flash flood risk. Technically, it is in effect, and we're watching out for it still in where it could be a rainy day today, which is, again, the northern edge of the ArkLaTex might have rain all day long here for today. If you're in Texarkana, still another round of heavy rainfall, especially here for tonight late. If you're in the I-20 corridor, it's kind of stray bits and pieces of rain that could move through in the overnight hours, most of that coming through in the East Texas side of I-20 corridor, before weakening as it tries to move over into northwest Louisiana. Now, here is the severe weather risk here for the rest of the day today, which is basically saying if there's going to be severe weather threat at all, this is maybe a slim tornado threat, slim hail threat, slim strong wind threat, it would come through in northeast Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, and southwestern Arkansas. As we just saw with this future track, all these storms are going to be trying to weaken as they try to get into northwest Louisiana. That does include Shreveport. That doesn't mean you're not getting rain there, but that's essentially meaning the storms are going to get a lot weaker by the time we get to that spot. All right, that's all the details with the storms here between today and tomorrow. But guess what? I really want to keep you first alert because we got a second round of storms. Hey, if you're not satisfied with the amount of rainfall you're going to get from this system, talking to farmers in particular, guess what? We have another system coming quickly back into the ropes here for Monday, early next week. So essentially, again, chances for storms here tonight and tomorrow. Tomorrow's chances are stray, but then we completely dry out for the weekend, get a nice lengthy break for the weekend before getting another round of storms here for Monday. And that round is going to look to be a lot stronger. I think it's the biggest word I have for it overall. Looking a lot more cohesive, a lot more like a actual cold front that'll bring in some strong thunderstorms for everyone around the ArkLaTex, not just for Texarkana, which is what this system here between today and tomorrow is apparently doing. So widespread storms, stronger looking system, and maybe a little bit of a stronger cool down. It's another chance for us to cool down even more into next week. We'll get to that forecast in just a little bit in the 7-day forecast. But here is the excessive rainfall risk for Monday. Remember how that slight risk was only in effect for the northern edge of the ArkLaTex today? Well, guess what? That's in effect for pretty much everybody once we get into Monday. So this is looking like a little bit of a stronger system coming on by. We'll give you first alert closer to that time frame. So to reiterate here for the day today, again, Texarkana, your best chances for storms I got to eliminate now is pretty much here for tonight. Only Thursday night for Texarkana I would watch out, and it's going to be late Thursday night as well. Shreveport, anytime between late tonight to around the midday hours of tomorrow. That's when storms could happen, okay? It's not going to persistently rain throughout that entire time, nor are the storms that are going to be coming on through going to contain much in terms of severe weather at all. Natchitoches, same thing, late tonight, overnight hours tonight, heading into maybe as late as Friday night. With a round that could happen Friday overnight, technically into Saturday night, only for Natchitoches. And then we all dry out for the weekend here for the most part. Sunday, maybe I do have a 20% rain chance leading into that system coming on Monday, but I think most of the storms on Monday should hold off until Monday morning. That's what it's looking like as of right now. Here's the 7-day forecast here for you. Again, chances for storms locally in Shreveport, not looking too good here even with this system coming on through. I think if storms are going to happen in Shreveport again, it's going to happen overnight tonight or early tomorrow morning before we dry out things completely by tomorrow afternoon here locally in Shreveport. Again, weekend's looking good for everybody. And then you're all watching that round of storms, which, yes, is at 70% chance. So we're pretty confident we're going to get much more substantial rainfall with the second round coming through here for Monday. After that system, maybe a few stray showers left over for maybe Tuesday and Wednesday. And notice how the temperatures go down to the 60s for you then. Again, the morning temperatures are going to go down to the 50s. I know my face is blocking that, but the temperatures are going to go down to the 50s, if not 40s, heading into the second half of next work week as well. Whew, that was just cool to check out your forecast. We're going to have a quick peek into the 12-day forecast as to what Thanksgiving could bring us coming up after this. And we're going to also answer any all questions you have on YouTube as well after this quick commercial break. Hey, stick around. We're going to do that. We're going to iterate some good points here that I want to get across. Last thing as well about this system coming on by, too. Okay? We'll be back in a 2-minute break. 2-minute water break. Break. Welcome on back to the First Alert Weather Breakdown. Again, thank you very much for joining us here for the day today. Hopefully that answered all your rainy questions here between today and tomorrow. Again, I really want to emphasize the bullet points real quick of the rain coming on through before we get into the Thanksgiving forecast real quick. Don't be too optimistic for storms in Shreveport and Natchitoches. Do I think they're going to happen? Yes. But out of the ones that I think are going to happen, they're not going to be what people would call too impressive. Meaning, I think it's just going to contain light rain. As we saw in the future track, it's almost like a shield is kind of forming between the Texas and Louisiana state line, to where that line just greatly weakens as it tries to roll through Shreveport and Natchitoches. Again, I think we do see storms at some point for just a brief moment in time between, again, late tonight and the overnight hours and into tomorrow. But it's just going to be a few light showers. Enough to maybe make you get the umbrella out, certainly. But, again, don't be surprised if nothing significant happens between today and tomorrow. That's the point. This whole system has a low severe level threat. It just contains lots of heavy rain that are still going to be rolling into probably portions of I-30 again tonight. But besides that, thankfully we're on through into it with too much severe weather threat. Again, today is not a First Alert weather day, okay? I don't want to overhype the system. It's going to be rainy. The only reason where I'm probably too much overhyped and excited about it is because, again, it's the first rainfall I've been able to talk about for 3.5 weeks. I've been talking about dry weather and sunshine for 3.5 weeks. Imagine doing that on loop consistently. Sounds like a broken record player. Anyways, 12-day forecast. Let's go over Thanksgiving. Again, Thanksgiving is the day past that Wednesday at the very tail end of the 7-day forecast here, which, again, after Monday, things are looking to get a lot more on the dry side of things. We got the round of storms that's with us here for today and tomorrow, and a separate one, probably a stronger one, again, coming through for Monday of next week after a mostly dry weekend, and then heading into Thanksgiving. Dry weather. I think we have a good long dry period there between Tuesday and Saturday of the following week before storms could come back heading into early December. But, and I do want to stress this but, notice the big cool down. Highs in the 60s there for Wednesday, and our 12-day forecast is trying to hint that somewhere around Thanksgiving we're going to have an Arctic blast coming on in, meaning lows could get down in the 30s, and these high temperatures only reach the 50s. That's going to happen somewhere around Thanksgiving. I'm not sure if Thanksgiving Day is going to be the day we get down to the 50s. Right now it is projected to do so, but we'll see. It's kind of a fine line. I think, and the thing is, when I started back here on Monday, trying to give you, because I remember Monday's episode was literally just talking about Thanksgiving. Monday's preview of Thanksgiving looked like cold and wet. We kind of dropped off the wet. Now it's looking a lot more dry here for next Thursday, which actually I'm a lot more certain about than the cold. It's going to be cooler. It's certainly going to be cooler. I mean, the high before that on the day for Wednesday is in the 60s. Even then, lies are in the lower 70s there for Monday and Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So it's certainly going to be much cooler in store for Thanksgiving. I think that's certain. I think we're looking dry for Thanksgiving, which is probably most important for people, especially traveling out and around to different spots around the ArkLaTex, having some Thanksgiving meals. I think the question is the question remaining for me next week, which we'll probably have to wait until next week to find out on Monday and Tuesday, is just how cold is Thursday going to get? Is it going to be highs in the 60s and mornings are reasonable in the 40s and 50s, or is it an Arctic cold blast where we have highs chilly in the 50s and our mornings get down to the 30s, which is still a possibility? We'll see, and we'll keep you first alert and weather aware. But, hey, at least Thanksgiving's looking good. And we have supplies of rain on the way before that, which are being conveniently placed. Again, your weekend's looking good. Just got to get through a little bit of rain again here between tonight and tomorrow morning, and another round for, again, early next week on Monday before we really get and settle into Thanksgiving time. Black Friday also looking pretty good for you shoppers out there, too. All right. Anyways, that's today's episode of First Look with a Breakdown. We have another Friday in fall tomorrow. Tomorrow, sports forecast back in store. Another second round of high school football playoffs. Also, one of the final weeks of college football is coming up. It's the final 2 weeks of that, too. Also, do want to make a mention real quick. Oh, can I do this? I think I can do this really quick. I want to go ahead and play one football forecast for you today. Is it loaded? I have not even checked on this today. I'm checking on my graphics on the side. It is. Check this out. Bam. Stephen F. Austin is taking on NSU tonight. That is down in Natchitoches. That is a Thursday night game. That is tonight at 6:30 p.m. It is the final game of the season for, I believe, both of these teams. This is obviously Natchitoches in Stephen F. Austin over at Natchitoches, traveling over to Natchitoches to take on the Demons, which have had a bit of a rough season. I'm just going to treat it like that. Stephen F. Austin has, I believe, a winning record, so good luck to the NSU Demons and all of them. But, hey, it's going to be great. 6:30 p.m. kickoff here for tonight. Temperature's looking great, and things are looking mostly dry. All right, got to end First Look with a breakdown. Again, wrap everything up. Hey, I appreciate you guys for coming on the stream and for talking all about the storms. I will have the next update on our noon show coming up for you. Stay tuned then, and I'll see you tomorrow for more of a thorough football forecast for all your other scores here for the weekend coming up then. That'll be on 10:30 Friday on the First Look with a Breakdown. Be there, be square, and most importantly, stay weather aware. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow here for Friday. Peace.